Good morning, traders. It is Monday, September 23rd. Taking a look at the charts, we'll start off with the SP 500. We got the 30-minute regular trading hours only of the SP 500 with our trend analysis showing how we've gone from a downtrend to neutral and to an uptrend. Now, if we look at the daily chart, you can see we are flirting here with significant resistance area right up into this area. This is what we were talking about a while ago when we were in this range. We were talking about whichever way it breaks out of this range, we're going to see a nice strong move. We saw a nice strong move all the way up into resistance. We were looking for around the 3,000 to the 325 mark being the kind of the upper end, which is this previous high, and we've gone all the way up there. And now we're channeling in this pattern here, and it looks it is still holding up. We are still in an uptrend, as you can see here. Our bars are still green, but we're on the verge of a breakdown, and the markets are only down a little bit this morning. They're only down about 0.8%, or nothing too significant. Or sorry, they're down only 0.1%, and we saw the overseas market sell off about 1%. So there's potential here for the markets to break down and break this pivot low. All these little candle lows in here. If we look on the daily chart, the intraday chart, you can see we'd be breaking these lows right across here. This low, that low, and we could start to go down and test this area. Now we do have a gap window where price gapped higher. So there's this gap to get filled. So we could see the market sell off and pull back deeper. But overall, it's stuck in this larger range now. We got this significant low way down here. We got this previous major high over here. And then the next support area will be potentially for it to come all the way back down to this breakout zone. So we're still channeling in this area, looking for potential setup. It feels like the market wants to roll over. We're going to let it do its thing. We're going to follow suit. Now let's take a look at the other markets here. Let's take a look. We are long utilities. Utilities ended up holding up very well on Friday. They did initially gap lower and sell down, but then as the stock market started to show more selling and it closed near the lows, the utilities seen as a safe haven moved higher and closed up near the high of the day. Overall, it's still got a nice bullish pattern here, and if the stock market does start to collapse, we should see utilities continue to push higher and head up towards our second target. Now, today we are seeing the safe havens move higher. The XLU doesn't show any pre-market price action, but bonds today are trading up 0.6%, so they're having a nice gain. You can see here they were in an uptrend, they went to a downtrend, and they're still in this downtrend phase, but more or less they're starting to show signs that they've had a pretty good bottom, and we'll see if it forms some type of pattern here going forward. We could see a bigger consolidation or maybe just a little pause here where it starts to break and run higher. But overall, it's getting up to this first resistance area, this standout pivot high. Today we're going to see it trade a little bit higher. It's going to pierce through this. Maybe it's going to create a consolidation here for it to eventually then take a second run higher. This would be the first wave, and then you've got the second wave to the upside. If we look over at gold, gold up 0.75% this morning. Had a nice recovery late Friday, powered up, muscled above this previous pivot high on the 30-minute chart to test this other significant pivot high. Today it's pushing a little bit higher. Overall, it's got some pretty good momentum here, but you can see the chart. We were in an uptrend. It started to get very mixed. It's still mixed signals for the metals market. If the stock market does break and rally to the upside, we are going to see this consolidation in metals could be pretty ugly and catch a lot of people off guard. If we were to just take a look at what could happen, this would be a move down, this would be the bear flag, and then we'd have the second half of that move to the downside and negate more or less this kind of breakout area where gold came up, finally broke through, and really took off to the upside. So it's going to be a pretty big week. If the stock market breaks down, we're going to see metals move up. If the stock market rallies, we're going to see all these safe havens sell off in a fairly significant way. This is a pretty big topping formation. You can argue here it's a head and shoulders formation. If it breaks this neckline, there is a lot more potential downside with gold. You got the head, you got the neckline. This distance, you'd take to the breakdown zone, which would bring us all the way back down to this significant resistance area that we drew on the chart many months ago, which was the key kind of breakout area. So things could get ugly if the stock market rallies, but at this point, money is moving into the safe havens, and equities are looking a little weak, like they're ready to roll over. So at this point, we're still good in terms of more or less an uptrend being in place for the metals and miners. Now, if we take a look over at the miners, they had a nice recovery pop, and you can see here on our trend analysis chart, we're right up into this previous high. So this is a significant resistance area. Miners, we'll see where they trade today, likely to gap higher, but we'll see if they gap higher and sell back down or if they hold their ground. Overall, we're still in this kind of neutral to downward trend bias. It did start to turn orange right here, meaning it's shifting its momentum. So we are getting close. This is a bottoming formation we talked about a while ago. This big wild price action is going to be some type of consolidation or bottoming formation. And the question is, which way is it going to break out of here and then have a significant move? Again, this move, break to the upside, should bring us right back up to the highs. If it breaks to the downside, we are going to have a big sell-off and washout low in metals for that big ABC correction to really cleanse the market out. Taking a look over at energies, energies are all down today as well. Natural gas down 1%. Starting to pull back. You can see on our trend analysis chart, we're getting into a little bit of a lime green area, which means we've dipped into an oversold market condition. We are getting close to the 20-day moving average on the daily chart, and it is starting to set up for a potential oversold bounce or potential continuation trend to the upside. Looking over at crude, down 0.2%. It was trading quite a bit higher this morning, but it has sold all the way back down on some pretty big volume. Huge volume is driving it lower, and this looks like it could be a bear flag, meaning we're selling down. It's been consolidating, and we could have the second half of the move to bring us back down to negate this entire gap move that happened based on news in Saudi Arabia. At this point, looking at all the markets, they're all giving us more or less mixed signals, and they're all trading at a support or resistance area, and we're waiting for some new patterns to form, but we'll be looking to get in some new trades. Depending how things unfold, could be today, could be near the end of the week. We'll just see where price action goes and look for some new trade setups to get in for the next moves. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.